This is my Delta Airlines strategic recommendation presentation. Here we go. So the mission statement for Delta. So the relative size of the company, they have like right around 90,000 employees, and they do right around 5,500 flights daily, which in comparison to the rest of the industry, they are they in the top 5 airlines in the sector. The company mainly does transportation services involving aviation, and they operate across the globe. As I said before, the company conducts business internationally. Their biggest strategic posture, where they rely on growth, is their aviation innovation and consumer experience. That's where a large majority of the revenue comes from as well. And one thing I would say, or the biggest thing that makes Delta unique, is their industry-leading technology. So my SWOT analysis, so some of the biggest strengths for Delta is just their brand recognition. As I said before, they're a top 5 airline in the industry. And, if you've flown anywhere, you've heard of Delta Airlines. They have a very big, extensive global network. As I said, they operate internationally. So almost anywhere you travel, they're going to be able to take you almost wherever you need to go. Their operational processes are insanely effective. That's probably in part as well to their skilled and dedicated workforce. And another thing, on top of their skilled and dedicated workforce, Delta Airlines likes to invest heavily in their employees by doing profit-sharing measures. I believe they started implementing that in the most recent 3 or 4 years. And I'd also arguably say their biggest strength, especially for my recommendation, is that they have strong financial performance history, even during hectic economic times. Some of their biggest weaknesses are the dependence on the industry. They're not extremely vertically integrated, so they have to outsource to some for certain things. They have limited control over external factors. A great example would be the COVID-19 pandemic took a big hit on just the global economy in general, but it's just something you just can't control. They depend on third-party suppliers a lot, so obviously they're not vertically integrated, so they don't make their own airlines, things like that, or certain supplies. They have to outsource to someone else to do that. So if they can't do it, or there's some hold up, for another example would be the COVID-19 supply chain issue that might have caused problems for them. They have pretty high operating costs, and that's due to just contract or labor agreements they've had over the last X amount of years. And another big weakness is just their limited differentiation. There's many airlines that do a lot of the same things they do, but the biggest difference is that they just don't do it as well. Their biggest opportunities are just the increased demand for air travel. I mean, the world's not getting any smaller anytime soon, so obviously everyone's going to need to fly, and it's by far the best way to do it if you want to get from point A to point B in the fastest amount of time. Another big opportunity for them is to be expanding into new markets and to get more routes. I know recently they acquired a company over the last few years, and that helped them with their outreach over in the Middle East or the eastern part of the world. Another big opportunity, which is part of my strategic recommendation, is cost reduction through technological innovations. So if they have some breakthrough technologically, they should be able to reduce costs pretty drastically. Increased demand for environmentally friendly air travel options. I mean, a lot of people care. Well, it's obviously good to care about the environment, and I'd arguably say airlines do a lot more polluting than cars. I think the amount of cars it takes to pollute what an airline does is ridiculous. Another big opportunity for them is the growth of loyalty programs. If they can implement certain rewards and things like that, they should have no problem increasing revenue off of something like that. Their biggest threats are just simply other airlines, as I said before. From the weaknesses, they have limited differentiations. There's a lot of people who do things like them. Another threat, kind of like I said before, is economic/political instability in some markets. Like I said, with the COVID-19, that would be a great example, but also just today's environment with just tension between the United States, China, Russia, things like that. And then sanctions, there's obviously some things that could hamper, halt some sort of operations or business processes around the world. So that's something they need to be aware of. Fluctuating fuel prices kind of piggybacks off my sanction thing. Obviously, Russia's a big producer of oil, and recently with sanctions, I'm sure that's probably had some strain on their fuel prices. And then just increasing regulation compliance requirements is another massive threat, because obviously as things advance more. There needs to be more things put in place to ensure safety precautions are there and no one gets hurt. So their sustainable competitive advantage, I'd say their biggest four, just their technological innovation. Fast Company's annual list said, and they're in the top 6 innovative companies in the last like 4 or 5 years. And they've been in the top 6 for the last 4 or 5 years. So I'd say they need to stay on top of that. Their loyalty program deals with other companies. I believe with Hertz they have, which is a rental car company, so they have different deals that kind of coincide with Hertz and their loyalty programs that help customers get a better bang for their buck. As I said before, they're skilled, dedicated staff. They don't have, people don't really leave the company a whole lot. As I said before, they've started implementing a lot of profit sharing measures to and other sort of benefits or compensations to help keep a lot of employees. And then just their overall brand recognition, as I said, they're one of the top 5 airlines, so I don't think they're going to have any problem trying to build up their name. But yeah, it's just a big advantage they have. So their issues and problems, I'd say their biggest issue as of now would be just the unstable economic and political conditions. I'm sure you know the global economy is kind of in a bit of turmoil, or it's a bit uneasy as of now with interest rates raising as fast as they ever have before, banking problems, just tensions with other countries and things like that. And a great example of this would be like COVID-19, and then sanctions with Russia and China. Obviously that can drastically affect revenues and things like that, so it's something they need to be considerate of. Again, competition from other airlines. Again, there's limited differentiation. There's not a lot of things they do a whole lot differently than other companies. It's more or less can they do it better, which they usually do. Then another big issue is just fluctuating fuel prices, which and I don't think in reality that's going to be a massive cost. I'm sure they've accounted for X amount of percent increase in fuel prices, so I'm not sure that's something that's going to be a massive issue for my recommendation. So my recommended strategy, I believe they should enhance their digital customer experience and just personalization maybe on their app and website. Just with this recent technological advances and just the way the world's going, everyone's on their phones or on a computer 24/7. So if you can allow for the user to get what they need to get done in a fast manner as possible, that should bring in more people and, if not, make you more money. I believe the strategy should have a 2 to 3 year window, and I think their maximum investment should maybe be $5 million. I know in 2015 or 2016 with Georgia Tech, they did some collaboration research involving technological innovation, so I think they've spent double that. That should be plenty of money, and for the most part, it's just all software type of things and coding along the lines of or things like that. So it's not going to be a whole lot of buying massive buildings and doing blah 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 or something like that. And I think if they can effectively improve their digital customer experience and the personalization within that, it should be able to increase revenue at minimum 1 to 3% per year. As I said before, customers and loyalty programs, things like that, account for over 80% of Delta's revenue. So if they make the customer experience that much better, there's almost no reason why it shouldn't increase revenue at the minimum 1 to 3%. And I think another big thing involving this strategy is they should try and reinvest earnings as much as possible to continue expanding, which I don't think should be a big problem for Delta. Based off their financial statements, they have a lot of cash on hand. I know they're paying off a lot of debt as well, so they should have a lot more free cash flow to work with. So I don't think reinvesting earnings should be a big issue for them, especially something involving technological innovation due to its just rapidly evolving nature and everyone being on their phones and computers nowadays. It's probably the best strategy for them to go forward. I'd say their biggest fallout or potential issues would be just technology-related obstacles. I also have solutions here as well to some of those obstacles. So the technological related obstacles would more or less just be maybe some coding issues or some sort of process doesn't work efficiently. And my solution to that just be more or less just thorough testing of what you're going to put out to the customer and the dependable infrastructure to ensure things don't go wrong when you implement such technology, which I don't think for someone like Delta that should be a massive issue, but it's definitely something you should consider. Because obviously, if there's a massive problem with a website or an app, I know me personally, if something's not working how it's supposed to within the first 5 to 20 or 30 seconds or even a minute, I'm very quick to go off and do something else or my attention's gone. Obviously, if there are technological advances, they need to be very considerate of data privacy and security concerns, and especially nowadays with, again, technology advancing at the rate it is, people's privacy and security concerns are at an all-time high. So I think just the biggest counter to this issue just be continuous monitoring and just making sure no private information is leaked. Another big issue, the change of management and personnel training for this new system or software. But again, as I said before, with Delta's skilled workforce and, again, dedicated workforce due to their profit sharing things and other compensation and benefits that they offer, I don't think it's going to be too difficult getting the company on board with this new innovation. And then I think another big issue would be having multiple options, because obviously, me as a younger person, I'm obviously a lot more tech savvy than someone who's, say, like 60 or 70 or 80. So I think it's good to have multiple options. My solution to this for having multiple options would be just allow users to update only if they want to, or if it was like a desktop website or something like that, just allow them to use the old website if they would like. But yeah, I don't think these things are going to be massive issues, and if they are, they're going to be